Once upon a time, there was a man named Lucky who had always dreamed of owning his own business. He had grown up spending summers at the beach with his family, where he developed a love for all things sweet and sugary. After years of working various jobs, Lucky decided to pursue his dream of opening a candy store at the beach. He spent months researching different candy suppliers and developing a business plan. With the help of a small business loan, he was able to lease a small storefront just steps away from the ocean. Lucky's candy store quickly became a popular destination for beachgoers. He offered a wide variety of candy, from classic favorites like gummy bears and chocolate bars to more exotic treats like Japanese candies and Mexican lollipops. Lucky even started making his own fudge and saltwater taffy, which became customer favorites. As the years went by, Lucky's candy store became a beloved fixture of the beach community. He made connections with locals and tourists alike, who would come back year after year to stock up on their favorite sweets. Lucky loved being able to share his passion for candy with others, and he took pride in providing a fun and welcoming environment for his customers. In the end, Lucky's candy store became more than just a business, it was a place where people could come together and create happy memories. And for Lucky, that was the greatest reward of all. Before Lucky opened his candy store at the beach, he worked a variety of jobs to make ends meet. One of the jobs he had was cleaning toilets at a busy airport. At first, Lucky didn't enjoy the job. It was dirty and unpleasant, and he felt embarrassed telling people what he did for a living. But as he worked, he began to see the value in what he was doing. By keeping the airport restrooms clean, he was helping to ensure that travelers had a comfortable and hygienic experience. Lucky took pride in his work, and he was determined to do it well. He developed a system for cleaning the toilets efficiently and thoroughly, and he made sure to use high-quality cleaning products to get rid of even the toughest stains and odors. Over time, Lucky's hard work paid off. His supervisors noticed how diligently he worked and how clean he was able to keep the restrooms. They praised him for his attention to detail and his commitment to the job. Eventually, Lucky was promoted to a supervisory position, where he trained other toilet cleaners on his methods and techniques. Although he eventually left the job to pursue his dream of owning a candy store, Lucky looked back on his time as a toilet cleaner with pride. He knew that even the most humble jobs could be done with dignity and excellence, and that any job could be a stepping stone to something greater. One day, Lucky was working his shift as a toilet cleaner at the airport when he received an unexpected visitor. It was none other than the President of the United States himself. Lucky was surprised to see the President, but he didn't let it show. He greeted the President respectfully and continued with his work, determined to make sure the restroom was spotless for such an important guest. As Lucky scrubbed the toilets and wiped down the counters, he couldn't help but wonder what the President was doing there. But he didn't ask any questions, he knew it wasn't his place. However, as the President was washing his hands at the sink, he struck up a conversation with Lucky. He asked him how he was doing and what it was like to work at the airport. Lucky was polite and friendly, and he answered the President's questions honestly. The President was impressed by Lucky's professionalism and work ethic. He even joked that he should hire him as his personal toilet cleaner at the White House. Lucky laughed and thanked the President for the compliment. After washing his hands, the President shook Lucky's hand and thanked him for his hard work. He told him that it was people like him who made the country great. As the President left the restroom, Lucky couldn't help but feel proud of the work he had done that day. He knew that even the most humble jobs could be opportunities for greatness, and that sometimes, the most important people in the world were the ones who took notice of your hard work. Several weeks after their chance encounter at the airport restroom, Lucky received an unexpected visitor at his candy store at the beach. It was a government official, who asked if he could speak with Lucky privately. Feeling nervous and unsure of what was happening, Lucky agreed. The official then revealed that the President of the United States had secretly requested to meet with him again. Lucky was stunned and thrilled. He couldn't believe that the president would remember him, let alone seek him out for another meeting. But he agreed to the meeting, and the official arranged for a private meeting at Lucky's candy store. On the day of the meeting, Lucky made sure that everything was perfect. He stocked his store with the president's favorite candies and even made some special treats just for him. When the president arrived, Lucky greeted him warmly and ushered him into a private room in the back of the store. For the next hour, Lucky and the president talked about everything from their favorite sweets to their visions for the future of the country. The president praised Lucky for his hard work and dedication, and told him that he was an inspiration to many people around the country. Before leaving, the president gave Lucky a gift, a framed photo of the two of them from their first meeting in the airport restroom. Lucky was overwhelmed with emotion, and he knew that this was a moment he would never forget. After the president left, Lucky sat alone in his store, savoring the memory of the incredible experience he had just had. He knew that he would always treasure this moment, and that he had truly come a long way from his humble beginnings as a toilet cleaner at the airport. Lucky had recently become a bit of a celebrity in his small beach town after his encounter with the American president. People would come to his candy store and ask for pictures with him, and Lucky would happily oblige. However, not everyone was happy with Lucky's newfound fame. The president of the neighboring province, Unluckyland, was filled with envy and jealousy. He couldn't believe that Lucky, a simple candy store owner, had spent time with the most powerful man in the world while he, the president of a whole province, had never even met him. Determined to get his revenge, the president of Unluckyland came up with a devious plan. He sent Lucky an invitation to a charity event in his province, claiming that it was for a good cause and that he would like Lucky to attend as his guest of honor. Lucky, always wanting to help out those in need, eagerly accepted the invitation. However, when he arrived at the event, he quickly realized that he had been tricked. The charity event was just a ploy to get Lucky to spend the day with the president of Unluckyland. The president of Unluckyland greeted Lucky with a big smile and a warm welcome. He took Lucky on a tour of his province, showing him all the sights and telling him about the history and culture of his people. However, Lucky couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. As the day went on, the president of Unluckyland became more and more aggressive, trying to get Lucky to stay longer and longer. He even started to make threats, telling Lucky that he wouldn't be allowed to leave until he agreed to stay and work for him. Feeling trapped and frightened, Lucky knew he had to come up with a plan to escape. Using his quick thinking and resourcefulness, Lucky managed to slip away from the president's guards and make a run for it. He managed to make it back to his beach town safely, where he reported the incident to the authorities. The president of Unluckyland was eventually brought to justice for his actions, and Lucky became an even more beloved figure in his community for his bravery and quick thinking. He knew that he would never forget his experience in Unluckyland, but he was also determined to not let it stop him from living his life to the fullest. It was just another normal day at Lucky's candy store when suddenly, the doors burst open and a group of strange creatures entered. They were tall and slender with long, spindly fingers and huge, glowing eyes. Lucky was shocked, but he tried to remain calm. The leader of the group stepped forward and spoke in a language that Lucky didn't understand. But then, the alien pulled out a small device and activated it, and suddenly Lucky could hear the alien speaking in perfect English. "We have traveled for thousands of light years," the alien said. "We have heard that your candy is the best in the galaxy. We simply had to come and see it for ourselves." Lucky couldn't believe it. Aliens had traveled all this way just to taste his candy? But then he remembered that this wasn't the first time he had been visited by extraterrestrial beings. A few years earlier, he had had a similar encounter with another group of aliens who also claimed that his candy was the best they had ever tasted. Feeling excited and a little bit nervous, Lucky led the aliens to his candy counter and began to offer them samples of his most popular treats. The aliens tasted everything from chocolate-covered pretzels to sour gummies, and Lucky watched in amazement as they savored every bite. After they had tried everything, the leader of the group turned to Lucky and said, "You truly are a master candy maker. We will be sure to tell all of our fellow beings about your amazing candy. Thank you for sharing your gift with us." And just like that, the aliens were gone, disappearing into thin air as quickly as they had appeared. Lucky couldn't believe what had just happened. He had been visited by aliens not once, but twice, and they had both agreed that his candy was the best in the galaxy. It was a surreal experience that he knew he would never forget. Lucky had always been an adventurer at heart, and he loved nothing more than exploring the wilderness around his small town. One day, he set out on a hike through the mountains, packing nothing but his backpack and a few bags of his famous candy. As he made his way deeper into the forest, Lucky heard a low growling sound. Looking around, he saw a pack of hungry wolves stalking him from the trees. He knew he had to act fast if he was going to get out of there alive. Lucky quickly reached into his backpack and pulled out a bag of his sour gummy worms. He opened it up and began to throw handfuls of candy at the wolves. The wolves were initially confused but soon realized that the candy was edible, and they quickly became distracted by the sugary treats. As the wolves devoured the candy, Lucky used the distraction to make a run for it. He darted through the forest, running as fast as he could, the wolves hot on his heels. Lucky knew he couldn't outrun the wolves forever, but he had a plan. Once again, he reached into his backpack and pulled out another bag of candy, this time his chocolate-covered pretzels. He tossed a few towards the wolves, who were still too busy munching on the sour gummy worms to pay attention. Lucky then ran to a nearby tree and began to climb up its branches. As the wolves finished their candy and began to close in on him, Lucky reached the top of the tree and pulled out another bag of candy. This time, he had saved his very best, his homemade caramel popcorn. He scattered the popcorn down to the ground, and the wolves were immediately drawn to the sweet, buttery smell. Lucky watched from the safety of the tree as the wolves devoured the popcorn, licking their chops in satisfaction. Once they had eaten their fill, the wolves lazily wandered back into the forest, sated and content. Lucky breathed a sigh of relief and climbed down from the tree, grateful for his quick thinking and his delicious candy. As he continued on his hike, he knew that he would always keep a few bags of candy in his backpack, just in case he needed to distract some hungry predators again. Lucky had always been a talented candy maker. His sweets were the talk of the town, and people would come from far and wide just to get a taste of his homemade treats. One day, as he was working in his candy shop, a strange spirit appeared before him. "Hello, Lucky," the spirit said in a whispery voice. "I have been watching you, and I am impressed by your skills. I have an offer for you. I can give you the gift of eternal life, but in exchange, I want your candy-making talents." Lucky was taken aback by the offer. He had always dreamed of living forever, but he couldn't imagine giving up his passion for candy making. But as he thought about it more, he began to consider the possibilities. "If I accept your offer," Lucky said slowly, "what will happen to my candy shop?" The spirit smiled slyly. "Oh, your candy shop will still be here," it said. "But you will no longer be the one making the candy. You will have all the time in the world to do whatever you please, but your talents will belong to me." Lucky thought for a moment longer, weighing the pros and cons. Finally, he made his decision. "I accept," he said firmly. The spirit grinned and reached out a hand, which Lucky shook. In that moment, Lucky felt a strange energy flow through him, and he knew that the spirit had made good on its promise. For the next few years, Lucky lived a life of luxury and indulgence. He traveled the world, experiencing all that life had to offer, but he never made candy again. Instead, he spent his time pursuing other interests, like art and music and literature. But as the years passed, Lucky began to feel a strange sense of emptiness. He realized that candy making had been more than just a talent to him, it was a part of who he was. He missed the feeling of creating something with his own two hands, and he longed to taste the sweet satisfaction of a perfect batch of candy. One day, as he sat alone in his opulent mansion, Lucky had a sudden realization: he missed his old life. He missed the simple joy of running his candy shop and sharing his creations with others. He knew what he had to do. With a heavy heart, Lucky sought out the spirit and asked to undo their deal. The spirit was surprised but agreed to release him from his contract. Lucky felt a wave of relief wash over him, knowing that he could once again pursue his true passion. Lucky had lived a long and eventful life since he made the fateful deal with the spirit. He had traveled the world, met fascinating people, and experienced things that most mortals could only dream of. But as the years passed, Lucky found himself yearning for something more. He missed the simple pleasures of life, like the taste of his own candy. So, one day, Lucky decided to try his hand at candy making once again. He dug out his old recipe books and started gathering ingredients. But as he tried to mix and shape the candy, he found that something was off. The candy wouldn't come together, and no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't replicate the flavors he used to make. Lucky was frustrated and confused. He had made candy for most of his life, and it had always come easily to him. But now, it seemed that he had lost his touch. He tried again and again, but the candy always turned out wrong. Finally, Lucky realized that the spirit had taken more than just his talent for candy making. It had also taken his ability to learn. No matter how hard he tried, he would never be able to make candy again. At first, Lucky was devastated. Making candy had been his life's work, and now he was unable to do it. But then, he had an idea. He decided to trade something else for the ability to learn once more. Lucky went back to the spirit and made a new deal. He traded his ability to fly for the chance to learn candy making again. The spirit agreed to the trade, and Lucky felt a sense of relief wash over him. With his newfound ability to learn, Lucky dove into candy making once again. He took classes, read books, and experimented with new ingredients. He found that he still had a natural talent for candy making, and with his newly regained ability to learn, he was able to refine his skills even further. In the end, Lucky became an even better candy maker than he had been before. He created new flavors and techniques, and his candy shop once again became a beloved destination for sweet lovers from far and wide. And although he had given up his ability to fly, Lucky knew that he had regained something even more valuable: his passion for candy making.